Okay, folks, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:31. Will the clerk please call the roll? Thank you.
Taylor. Thorsland.
Here.
Vanich Thiernaut.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Cowart. Esri.
Here.
Farney.
Here.
Furtado.
Here.
Hanauer Friedman.
Here.
Ingram. Here. Locke. Lockshin.
Here.
Michaels. Present. Pugh.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Rogers.
Present.
Sexton.
Here.
Storr.
Present.
Straub. Patterson.
Here.
We have a quorum. All right, I'm going to now read the prayer. Please free our world from conflict. I pray for those who are suffering from the results of war and violence. I pray for the victims. May they be provided with both physical and mental healing. Shalom, peace, salam. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Will the clerk please read the notice of the meeting?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on October 19th, 2023, 6:30 p.m. in the Shields Carter Meeting Room, Brookins Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved, Michaels, second. Second, Ingram. Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Dr. Storr?
Excuse me, I thought we had something that we wanted to do on the
Yeah,
agenda,
we'll have
but
to change the
apparently not.
agenda as we go through then. We've approved it. Okay. Excuse me. The microphone situation is a little difficult here. I'm having a hard time hearing myself, so I hope everybody can hear me out there. Adoption of Resolution 2023-256, appointing Mike Smith as a county board member in District 1 to fill Jim Goss's unexpired term ending November 30, 2024. Can I have a motion? Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Ed. Jeff, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution number 2023-256, a resolution appointing Mike Smith as the county board member in District 1 to replace Jim Goss for an unexpired term ending November 30, 2024. Whereas Jim Goss, a county board member in District 1 for Champaign County with a term ending November 30, 2026, submitted his resignation from that office effective September 29, 2023. And whereas pursuant to 10 ILCS 5/25-11, when a vacancy occurs in any elective county office, the county board shall declare that such vacancy exists, and notification thereof shall be given to the county central committee for each established political party, and the vacancy shall be filled within 60 days by appointment of the county board chair with the advice and consent of the county board. And whereas notification of the vacancy was sent to the county central committee of each established party, political party, and whereas pursuant to a recommendation from the Republican Central Committee, the county board chair recommends the appointment of Mike Smith to fill the unexpired term of county board member in District 1, and whereas pursuant to 10 ILCS 5/25-11, if more than 28 months remain in the term, the appointment shall be until the next general election, at which time the vacated office shall be filled by election for the remainder of the term. And whereas Jim Goss vacated office with 38 months remaining in the term, and therefore Mike Smith will fill the unexpired term until the next general election in November 2024. Whereas the county board chair also recommends the appointment of Mike Smith to serve as a member of the County Facilities Committee, replacing John Farney, who will be switching to the Environment and Land Use Committee to replace Jim Goss. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the County Board of Champaign County that the appointment of Mike Smith to fill the unexpired term ending November 30th, 2024, of Champaign County Board Member District 1 is hereby approved. Be it further resolved that Mike Smith is appointed as a member of the County Facilities Committee. Presented, passed, approved, and recommended this 19th day of October AD at the year of our Lord 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Welcome to the Champaign County Board, Mr. Smith.
Mike Smith.
Having been appointed to the position of county board member in the state of Illinois and in the county of Champaign aforesaid, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of county board member to the best of my ability.
No. All right. The next regularly scheduled meetings are listed on the agenda. Please note the changes for Highway Committee and the County Board due to the holiday schedule next month. We are now at public participation. I have 3 slips. Anyone else that would like to address the board, you can fill out slips from the low table over by the door. Start out with Justin Learcamp.
Justin Learcamp, rural Sydney, Illinois. Here to speak for a few minutes about zoning case 86AT-23, which is the result of Illinois Public Act 102-1123. So this issue is something I've attended a lot of meetings on and spent a lot of time on, and it's really wrong what the state has done by taking local control away from Champaign County. No matter how you feel about the issue, in favor of wind energy, if you're against wind energy, or just want to see it controlled properly locally. Every county in Illinois is different. We all have different needs and resources, and this is a result of big business, big energy companies, wind companies, solar companies, basically asking some favors in however manner from state legislators. And it is wrong. I would like to see Champaign County not adopt this, even though it is a state public act. I think we need to stand with other counties that are also rejecting that and kind of force the issue. So I will pass my time and appreciate your listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Darrell Rice.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for serving our county in the way that you all do. I'd like to address the same case that Justin Learcamp just did, 086 AT 23, our green energy ordinance. For a long time ago, your ZBA was appointed to do a job, and they did. And I just ask you to listen to their recommendations, the results of their study. They heard from the residents from Champaign County for many months over the course of many meetings, and they made their recommendation accordingly. They heard testimony, amongst other things, about noise, audible and inaudible, light flicker, drinking water quality, drainage, tile damage, property resale value, ice throw, soil compaction, road damage, and plain old quality of life. And like Justin just said, I don't think that green energy is really the issue here. Whether you're on whichever side of that you're on, it's as much a problem of local control over local ordinances. And that, I think that's extremely important. So I just request that you would represent your county by voting against this state ordinance. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And Mr. Jim Goss.
Good evening, fellow board members. I'll bet you never thought you'd see me back this quick for sure. I did promise. You're correct. And I hope not to have to come back again. I'm here to speak on the zoning ordinance change. I apologize to the folks who are on ELUC. You've heard this spiel before, but I'm against the change. I think the public act is incredibly poor. I can say in this room, I'm probably the only person that's managed farms with wind towers on them. I know what the positives are. I know what the negatives are. I would tell you that when you deal with wind companies, I've had clients, personal clients, that have tried to negotiate wind leases with these large companies, these conglomerates. We know that you cannot negotiate financial terms. They will tell you, they will stand in front of a meeting of several people and say, but we're willing to give you $750 to have your attorney look over this 90-page agreement, and we're willing to negotiate some of those terms. Clients have spent tens of thousands of dollars to try to get a negotiated agreement that's fair, and we've yet to negotiate one agreement. And we're 5 agreement potentials deep, and we cannot find something that is fair to the landowner. They throw money at people like it's candy, and the people, they eat it up. Obviously, it's a big deal to have an acre of land that you might get paid as much as $30,000 on it. But what you don't realize is the damage that they do to your farm. You don't realize the noise that comes off of those each and every time the blade turns. You don't realize the obnoxious blinking red light that flashes on all 40, 50, 60, 70 towers in that area. The people who live there, I pity the people who live in the country because they were there first. They bought their property. And while I know personally, wind towers don't affect rural properties. They don't affect farms because you have the income. They do affect houses because nobody wants to live next to them. Your quiet, your serene area is no longer quiet and serene. We have one of the state's only dark parks up at Middle Fork. We have a lot of areas in Champaign County when you get out in the country that are dark until you put wind towers up and they start blinking. I implore you people to get out and actually go see one at night. Go out and stand a quarter mile away from one when it's turning. Listen to the hum. Think about if it was in your living room and all you heard was the whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As Mr. Learcamp said beforehand, this legislation was bought and paid for by the green energy lobbyist in the dead of night, in the lame duck session at the end, and it was on a shell bill. I'm sorry, that's not the way this is supposed to happen in a legislative democracy. Your jobs here are to protect our citizens for the whole county and our natural resources. If I wanted to cover up 5,000 acres with an industrial park, you would be completely against it. However, when they want to cover up 5,000 acres with solar fields, you're all for it. You're taking food out of production for a minimum of 25 years. For a maximum of 40 or 50 years, you're going to take it out of production. I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. I think that there are better places to put solar, like in every little median, every roundabout that's out in the interstates. That's where they belong. Lastly, if you vote yes tonight, you're basically ceding your ability, your zoning ability to Chicago, because they have the majority of the legislators. They're cramming this down our throat because they got paid to do it. Please, please vote no.
Thank you, Jim. Ted Hartke.
How much time we got? 5. That's lots of time. Good evening. My name's Ted Harkey. I've sent lots of information to John Hall about this whole project and idea. When I lived in Vermilion County, they built wind turbines near my house. A lot of you folks have heard about my issue. And when they turned them on, we had severe sleep deprivation issues. All of my concerns have been based upon the noise of the machines. And with this new law, I think some of the very, very worst things about it is, as a land surveyor, is I see the setback is based upon a location of where your house is at. The only other setback in Illinois based upon where your home is located is a CAFO unit, which is a high-density hog farm or a cattle stockyard, a growing lot, okay? So when those rules were passed, there was tons of input and years of debate going back and forth. It was done with the Illinois Farm Bureau, with the EPA, with citizens groups, with the counties. They spent years making that agreed upon setback for hog farms from homes. In this case, the higher ups just announced this as a last second thing. There was no opportunity for public input. The Illinois Farm Bureau was against it. They were ignored. And they are totally ignoring one of, I think, is the basic rights of a citizen of the United States is to own land. In the case of a wind farm, since the larger setback is based upon where your house is at, if you have a small parcel in the rural area that doesn't have a home on it yet, it's going to immediately be taken up by a wind turbine placed too close to the property line. That residential lot is going to immediately be ruined and no longer usable as a home site. And this should not be a game of who gets there first. This should be who owns the land currently, what kind of legal thing can you build on it, And whatever you build, is that going to ruin your neighbor's ability to use their land? And in this case, that's the case. For the setback for where the homes are located, the setbacks are still way too close, much closer than what my home was in Vermilion County. I don't have any issue with the distances from a turbine to my home. My issue is the distance it takes to make the turbine noise dissipate enough to be able to sleep inside your house. I think that this is definitely a no vote. If you vote yes, I think this puts you into the predicament of you're in the business of giving away something that someone else owns. You've given away their use of their land and their freedom to live peacefully and quietly. Wind companies have lots of money. I've seen it time and time again where they've gone into a community and there's opposition. For an example, in Vermilion County, Apex purchased 3 homes before they built their project. If a wind company is purchasing homes, there's really, really something wrong here. And they have so much money they can easily do that. The other thing that they can do is if they tell you, we can't build a wind project unless we get all this land given to us with these short setbacks and encroachments on these people's homes and bedrooms for our noise abatement zone, that's not true. They've developed lots and lots and lots of farmland. They have not run out of places to develop yet. They're doing this law, pushing this towards you so they can go even faster and just bulldoze through. I think this group here and for the citizens of our county, I think you hold tight to your current setbacks and your current height restriction and have them come ask you for variances. Have them come to the county board ZBA, and if they don't like rules, tell them to go through the variance process just like other homeowners would if we're trying to do something that's not already in our zoning law to proceed with our own developments. My time is up. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you. Does anyone else in the audience wish to address the board? Seeing none, I am closing public participation. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? With the motion and Ingram with a second, will the clerk please call the roll?
Taylor? Thorsland?
Yes.
Benish Thurnott?
Yeah.
Wilson?
Here.
Okay.
You said roll. Or for a vote?
Yes.
Oh, consent, yes, I agree with the consent.
Carter?
Yes.
Cowart? Esri?
Yes.
Farney?
Yes.
Furtado?
Yes. Yes.
Ingram? Yes. Locke? Lockshin?
Yes.
Michaels?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Storr?
Yes.
Straub? Patterson?
Motion passes. Do any members of the board have communications they'd like to share? Not very chatty tonight. All right, moving on. Presentation of the fiscal year 2022 audit. Hope Wheeler from Clifton Larson Allen's here to give us a summary.
Good afternoon, board. It's my pleasure to reintroduce Hope Wheeler from Clifton Larson Allen for our second full audit with the firm. We were able to complete the I have to say this right, the ACFR, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, a day early. And that was despite having a fresh new Chief Deputy Auditor. So I'm very pleased about the result, including the unqualified opinion, i.e. the clean audit. So without many words of introduction, I'll turn this over to Hope.
Thank you. As mentioned, my name is Hope Wheeler. I'm a principal with Clifton Larson Allen here in Champaign. We did issue an audit opinion on your 2022 financial statements on September 29th, and it was a clean audit opinion. So within our opinion, there were a couple paragraphs I'll point out. We call them emphasis of matter paragraphs. Those were in regards to a new accounting standard that had to be implemented in 2022 called GASB 87 on leases. So that makes your leases portrayed a little differently from 2021 audit to 2022. That was a pretty big undertaking for government entities to implement this new standard. There's also a paragraph referring to note 23 that talks about one restatement related to one fund. The beginning balance of one fund changed to correct an error. So if you compared the 21 financial statement for that fund to 22, it changed. So anytime there's a change like that, we point that out in our opinion. Neither of these had any impact on our opinion. It was still a clean or unmodified opinion. That document is available for you to see. It's a 300-page document. With 2022 numbers. I'm not going to go through that in a lot of detail because the good news is we didn't have a lot of audit adjustments in the audit process. So very clean records to review and not a lot of adjustments. We also issue opinion letters in accordance with government auditing standards and uniform grant guidance. Those were also clean or unmodified opinions. The uniform grant guidance opinion, that refers to just us auditing your federal funding. So any government entity or nonprofit even that has over $750,000 of federal expenditures, you have this single audit or uniform grant guidance audit. Your federal funds for 2022, the expenditures of federal funds was $33 million. We go through a process and determine through a risk assessment what programs to test. This year, the three major federal programs were emergency rental assistance, the ARPA funding, and the Head Start. I'm happy to report there, we really only had one minor item to report, and I'd say that's a really good report. You continue to have great departments handling your grant funding that are very knowledgeable. So it's one I always look forward to auditing because we don't have to write 20 findings. So then on the financial statement side, we did, once again, it was a clean opinion. We did have 3 findings that are reported as financial statement findings. I will say there were a couple others last year that were resolved, so a lesser number. One of the findings was related to that restatement I mentioned. There was just one fund related to drainage districts that the way it was classified last year was incorrect, so it was just a classification issue that was corrected this year. Then there were 2 findings related to some departments with smaller groups of people, so don't have the adequate, as you've probably heard the accounting lingo, segregation of duties. So you don't necessarily have all the controls in place that would be ideal to have checks and balances in those departments. And a comment about documentation of reviews of bank reconciliations. Those are a key internal control process. So we always recommend, number one, those be done timely and those be reviewed by a second set of eyes, and that review be documented. We also issued a governance letter to you as a governing board. And just to hit some highlights of that, honestly, I think I've covered most of them. In that letter, we point out the implementation of the new accounting standard on leases and that restatement for the one fund. In that letter, we also point out estimates that are part of the accrual basis of accounting. Those didn't necessarily change from last year, relates to pension liabilities and post-employment benefit liabilities primarily, and some self-insurance liabilities. Then if there are any uncorrected misstatements or potential adjustments we found that weren't large enough to have to be posted in the audit, those are attached to that letter, so you can see those. And then it notes in there we had no other significant audit adjustments in the audit process. That was a very quick synopsis of all the work we did to get this done, and as George mentioned, very happy to get it issued on time this year and meet those deadlines, with also a new accounting system. So.
That's right.
Are there any questions? Ms. Furtado?
Just first a comment and then a question. Just thank you to George, to all of the staff, and particularly to Jill. This was Jill's first, I believe, audit as deputy auditor. So congratulations on that. I know you were filling some big shoes. Our other deputy, RPC, stole. So but Jill stepped to bat and we didn't miss a beat. So congratulations, Jill. And I want to thank Hope. Hope is kept me abreast of the process throughout, and it's been really nice to have that. The one thing I did have a question on, I just wanted to make sure about this, is the thing that you brought up about reconciliations. And if for those of you that don't remember, during our interesting time in the treasurer's office, we moved some of the reconciliations to the auditor's office, particularly non-collector, non-drainage, and non-custodial bank account reconciliations. And there has been some debate about should we leave them there. The decision has been made by the auditor and the treasurer to leave them there at this time until we can address more comprehensively staffing in the treasurer's office. It seems like it's working well. The arrangement allows the treasurer's office for the monthly review of the work of those reconciliations in the auditor's office to satisfy the outside audit requirement for segregation of duties. Just so you know that that's where we're leaving it for 2024. I want to make sure that does that indeed satisfy your opinion on segregation of duties, since that's our plan?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Like you said, it is difficult when it's a small office, so I appreciate as an auditor the cooperation between offices to have someone with the knowledge and ability, capacity to do those, review those reconciliations.
So just in case, that was a conversation that had happened with the board a while back, and it was sort of open-ended. That's where that landed, just so everybody knows that's where that landed, at least for right now. I think the plan is one day to get them back over to the treasurer's office, but it's been working well. So we're just going to let it keep working well.
Anyone else? Go ahead, John.
Well, I just want to, number one, say hi, Hope. Nice to see you again. Having been through the audit process, my congratulations and hats off to the auditor's office and to the outside team that we worked with. I know how complex it is. I also want to compliment our department heads for being committed to financial transparency and being willing to work with the outside auditors, because that makes the entire process so much smoother when you tear down those walls and you let the folks come in and see that, yeah, we're doing the right things. And I'd also really like to point out that RPC is so complex and there is so much federal money riding on them being accurate and open, and they do an excellent job every time. So my compliments to RPC and their financial team as well. So well done all around. Congratulations.
All right. Well, thank you. Are there any other questions pertaining to either the memo or to the audit itself? No? Okay. I think that concludes the auditor's business tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hope, thank you for coming. Thank you, George. Okay, moving on. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the September 21st regular meeting? Jenny, and then
So moved.
John with a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Standing committees, summary of action taken at both county facilities and environment and land use committees are received and placed on file. Would the ELEC chair like to make the committee's recommendation for item number 1?
Well, actually, first I'd like to apologize.
I have 3 excuses and 1 reason. The reason is I'm dumb and I was asleep when we were doing the agenda. My reasons for requesting a motion to move this vote to the November 21st County Board meeting is as follows. We have 1 new member of the board. We have 4 missing members of the board tonight. We have 3 municipal protests. That means we need a supermajority of 17 to pass. We obviously don't need a supermajority to not pass it. Staff did a very good job, and it's pointed out in May to adjust the part of our ordinance that addressed municipal concerns. We had some indication from one municipality that they may reconsider their protest. We haven't had time to hear back from them. We had one Philo that voted to continue. And we have another one that even our newest member of ELOC has had some little conversations with that may or may not. And I'd like to give them time to come in and comment. We have a standing ordinance as it stands now, so we're not in danger of not having any wind farm ordinance. Just briefly, we tried before the state stepped in to make a better ordinance, to add things that would make the ordinance better, including things that address things like the light pollution. There is some gray area in it where we can make improvements to this ordinance that aren't part of the specified things in the State Public Act that we still have control over if we vote on the new one. But most importantly, I want to give the full board the chance to discuss it. That was the discussion in ELOC. We don't have a full board here tonight. So I, again, would like to make a motion to move this vote to November 21st, 2023.
Okay. Second
Emily,
by Patterson.
Second. I had Emily first.
Okay.
Thank you, Emily.
We can fight about it.
No, that's fine. All
Except Kyle has a closer microphone, so.
All right. Is there any discussion? Go ahead.
I don't want to see this put off, and I'll tell you why. We've been talking about this since the spring. There are several meetings where we're always missing somebody one time or another, and this is something that our constituents have made an effort not only to talk about for the last several months, but also come in person on several times. Many of us in the outlying areas that this affects the most have heard from our constituents, and I think we do have a service to them to go ahead and make this vote tonight. So I will not vote to extend it again.
Any further comment? Go ahead.
Thank you. I disagree with extending this. There's been a lot of energy to get to this point, and there's a lot of community concern about this vote. And even though we do have a new member, you still would have had the vote if we had full members anyway. So I totally disagree with postponing this. It's on the agenda for today. People put a lot of energy into this, and so I disagree with postponing it. It needs to be voted on tonight.
Further discussion? Aaron?
I'd ask for a roll call.
Okay. There's no further discussion. Would the clerk please read the roll, call the roll? We are voting on whether or not to defer the adoption of this resolution to the November County Board meeting.
Thorsland.
Yes.
Venish Thiernot.
Yeah.
Wilson.
No.
Carter.
Yes.
Esri.
No.
Farney.
Yes.
Furtado.
Yes.
Hanauer Friedman.
Yes.
Ingram. Yes. Wakshin.
Yes.
Michaels.
No.
Pugh.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Sexton.
No.
Smith.
No.
Storr.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Believe the motion carries. Moving onward, summary of action taken at The October 10th Committee of the Whole is received and placed on file. Moving on to Finance. Adoption of Resolution Number 2023-257, approving Budget Amendment BUA 2023-9457, Fund 1080, General Corporate, Department 31, Circuit Court, increased appropriation $2,684, increased revenue 0. Reason, wage adjustment for several court clerks for the remainder of 2023. Can I have a motion? Motion by Diane, second by Patterson. Is there any discussion? Ms. Furtado.
I've already mentioned this in my caucus. I'm going to mention this again. I'm not asking you to change your mind on this. I am asking you to stop doing this. And I'm talking to I never thought I'd have to ask my friends across the aisle to stop doing this kind of thing. But so my request is, since we told the employees that came that we were going to do this, I think we should, but can we please give the administration time to come up with a compression plan? That is my request. Even if there's a really nice people that come and ask us to not do that, can we please just give them a little bit more time?
Anyone else? Go ahead, John.
I voted no on this at the committee meeting, and I'll be voting no on it again tonight. And my reasoning, very similar to Stephanie's, is we need to let our administration do their job, and they have a plan for this, and that does not include the elected official coming to us and bringing employees to pull on our heartstrings. We need to let our professionals do their job. I encourage you to vote no on this.
Further discussion? Seeing none, this item requires a roll call vote. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Thorsland.
Yes.
Vanish Thiernot. Wilson.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Esri.
No.
Farney.
No.
Furtado.
No.
Hanauer Friedman.
Yes.
Ingram.
Yes.
Lokshin.
Yes.
Michaels. Pugh.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Sexton. Smith. Storr.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Microphone. Motion fails 12-6. It requires 15 affirmative votes, I believe. Me out, Chair Patterson. What is the total number of votes on a budget amendment that we need to? Yeah, we have 12 yes and 7 no's. We don't have 15 yes votes, so the motion fails. Ms. Furtado.
I move to reconsider. I'm against this in principle. We said we were doing this to staff members that were in the room. So I move to reconsider, which is a thing in Robert's Rules of Order.
And I agree with Stephanie, too, because I was under the assumption this was a simple, there's no asterisks or anything noted in our agenda here that states that it has to be a 15 or a 17. So therefore, I thought it was just a simple majority on a roll call.
It's a budget amendment because we're increasing their budget.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It should have been reflected with the little star
Correct.
system.
Correct.
But so I move to reconsider.
I'll second that.
Okay.
That makes perfect sense if there is confusion over that. So go ahead, Eric.
I'm with Diane also. I know that we all know this, but I think that it needs to be indicated in the agenda so we really know it in case people have the same dumb that I have sometimes.
Mike?
I often also want to follow the direction of our finance chair, and my yes vote on this was specifically because there were employees in the room that we told we would do this. So whether or not I fully agree with the idea of this, I would like us to do what Ms. Furtado asked, which is to stop doing this so that we can allow our staff time to fix this problem. But I do not want to ever be in a situation where we have told employees something and then go back on that word.
Since there was some confusion on the margin that was required for this, I'm fine with the clerk calling the roll again. We will simply vote again on this resolution.
Point of order, we do have to move to reconsider it for it to be considered like a real vote.
All right. You have a motion.
I moved it. No,
I
Diane
thought
already
Diane
seconded. So we have to move
All right.
on that
We need
before
to
we
vote
can
on
vote.
that. Okay. All in favor of reconsidering, please say aye. All opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Will the clerk please call the roll on this resolution again?
Thorsland.
Yes.
Vanish Thiernaut. Wilson.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Esri.
No.
Farney.
No.
Furtado.
Yes.
Hanauer Friedman.
Yes.
Ingram.
Yes.
Wakshin.
Yes.
Michaels.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Sexton. Smith. Storr.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Motion carries. On to new business. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of resolution 2023-258, authorizing payment of claims? Moved by Patterson, second by Vanish Thiernaut. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2023-259, accepting a grant from the Illinois Housing Development Authority's Strong Communities Program, Round 2? Have a motion? So moved by Samantha, second by Mike Ingram. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have two more items on the addendum. Can I have an omnibus motion to approve adoption of Resolution 2023-260, appointing Aaron Esri to the Litigation Committee, and the adoption of Resolution 2023-261, appointing John Farney to the ELUC Committee?
So moved, Thorsland.
So moved by Thorsland, second by Michaels. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Other business, we've got an update from our project manager for ARPA, and she'll give us some additional information on where we're at.
Good evening. We've included the regular updates that we normally do, as well as the quarterly report is due by the end of this month, and so that's the main priority right now, is to get the reporting information that we're receiving to be able to incorporate that into the Department of Treasury report. We file that online. And then we continue to get project updates as far as the reporting and how their projects are going. We have also continued to work on finalizing contracts that are new and being negotiated, and getting signatures and getting the initial reporting forms that they need to get started and get their funding going. We also have had discussions with a couple of the remaining contracts that will be upcoming. For example, the EDC, as far as their small business grant assistance. And so they plan to provide a proposal for that for admin to review in the coming weeks. And then we continue to have projects that get completed and additional payments being made for a lot of these projects. And I'd be happy to try to address specific ones.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I have a microphone comment. We, as a board, when we approved ARPA funding to replace these microphones back under the previous administrator, I believe it was in the IT equipment, that line was not fully expended. So I don't know why this is. I also think we are apparently cursed when the outside auditor comes, because the last time when the outside auditor came, that was when we had that echo meeting where we had to cancel the whole meeting because it was echoing so badly. So I don't think we have any more money for this year, but if we could use, could we just get the microphones with the ARPA money? Again, we as a body gave that direction 3 years ago. I'm not entirely sure why we didn't get enough to cover all the board.
I can't answer that question either.
So
sorry.
We do have, as I'm sure you all remember, in our very lengthy debate over the last few internal ARPA requests, we've got about 5,000 that we had not allocated this year that we were going to just let to roll to next year. So if you would like to allocate that, these are $2,500 each, which is why we only have what we have, because they're very expensive. But I know that MC had already planned to purchase 2 more tomorrow, so we could up that to 4 at this point, and then we should be fine. It appears the old ones are probably just done with their life cycle at this point.
Could you do that with this year's money, and then next year could we do a thumbs up to get us all our own microphone and maybe even a couple extra in case one goes down? We don't have to do that right now, but let's get some mics.
Okay, we'll immediately order 4 more. How about that?
We all seem to be on the same page, but again, it's basic accessibility, right? People deserve to be able to not only hear what other board members are saying in the room, but also on YouTube and follow along online. It's bare minimum functions of government.
Yeah, and along that vein, the overall audio is not working for the live stream tonight. So if you get any emails, we're going to upload the recordings tomorrow. So they'll have access to the Truth and Taxation and this meeting, but the live recordings in real time did not have audio this evening.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I don't mind musical microphones, that's fine. No, not really. So my question is, we're in October, we got 2 more months this year. What happens for the money that we don't actually use for this year? Where does it go?
It just stays in the ARPA pot, and all of the ARPA funds that we have are appropriated for next year, so we can spend them as either we have made commitments or as we continue to make decisions as the board as to how you want to spend it. So there's only 5,000 left for appropriation this year, but everything is appropriated for next year. So that's why I'm saying we could definitely order the 2 that MC already has money for, and we can order 2 more on top of that using the remaining 5,000. And then next year we could revisit the entire topic again if we want to talk about more microphones at that point.
Does that work for you, Stephanie? For right now, and
I'd like to go in a time machine and ask the previous administrator why we didn't get the microphones we voted for back then. But that's not a question y'all could answer, because that was in the past.
There's many questions we should ask if we had a time machine. So,
any more questions for Kathy? John, go ahead.
It's actually a microphone question. In the new building, are we going to be using this equipment, or are we doing something different in the new building? Since I'm new and don't know, I'd love to know.
I believe it is a hybrid situation. Like there's new integrated equipment, but I believe we're using some of the equipment that we currently have as well. And I mean, the microphones will always be useful because we also have public meetings in smaller meeting rooms. So having microphones for those is helpful as well. So.
Anyone else? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Seeing as we have no further business, this meeting is recessed.